no additives, and just nice and fresh and pure for my son. So whether I'm working with fruit or vegetables or root vegetables, the process is generally the same. With harder vegetables like carrots, I do steam them first. So the process is I wash my veggies, of course, and my fruits, and then I go ahead and peel the skin off of them, because most of the time that's where you're going to find any sort of pesticides or any sort of impurities are going to be along the skin. And in fact, I will include in the description the Dirty Dozens list, just so that you're aware of the fruits and vegetables that tend to hold on to the most impurities just because of the texture of the skin on the fruit. So with apples, I peel them. With carrots, I peel them. Of course, with bananas, I peel them. With the carrots, I steam them very, very lightly just to make them soft, because we want to keep those nutrients in. And then I chop them into smaller pieces, and you can use a home blender. I happen to have a Ninja blender, and I absolutely love it. I've done this before with a Magic Bullet, but the Ninja blender, I find, not only does the work in less time, it just gives me a finer consistency, so I love mine. But I'm sure as long as we have a good quality blender at home, you'll get great results. So like I said, I chop the fruits or the vegetables into small pieces. Oops, make sure your blade is in there good. And I just go ahead and throw those in little cubed pieces. And there we go. Make sure you get the top on right. And I just go ahead and blend them up. So you want to blend them to really nice, pure puree type. Not a whole lot of lumps, bumps. Let it run as long as you need to. You know your blender best. So for me, I usually start on the first setting, and after it's gotten the chunks out, then I let it run for a while on the second setting, just to get it nice and thin. What you can also do is add a little bit of water. I usually chop it up first and then add the water. And you just kind of want to play with the consistency, but you want it to be nice and thin, like baby food. You'll also want to have a spatula on hand, because you might find it helpful along the way to open up your blender. Use the spatula to scrape down the food on the sides into the blender so it's getting nice and mixed in. So just a little push there. Getting everything nice and low so that it can be blended in. This is how you'll avoid finding big chunks when you go to pour it. So from time to time, as I'm going through the blending process, I just open up and make sure to push it down in there nicely. And we'll return to our blending.
Here we go.
So you really want to blend it into a fine puree, especially if your children are really young. Like my son's only 6 months old now, so I blend it into the finest puree possible for him. Then you'll take off your top, and you just want to check that consistency. Just make sure that your consistency is nice and smooth, almost like applesauce, if not a little bit smoother. And that'll make it really easy and nice for your child to digest, especially if, like I said, they're really young. And then what I do next is I actually then pour it into my ice cube tray. So you want to have a clean, empty ice cube tray. And I just go along the line and pour it in. This is really great for a couple of reasons. For one, it allows me to partition up the baby food into small freezable units that I can take with me if I need to, or just kind of measure out like 1 cube or 2 depending on how much he's eating that day. Or when he gets a little bit older and I want to start blending flavors, I can say a cube of apple, a cube of carrots, and that just makes it really easy. If you are making big batches with your friends, like I like to make big batches with my friends and then we all kind of share, like someone will make a huge batch of carrots and we all get a little baggie. So what I do after I put these in the freezer for a few hours, it's hard to say how many hours because every fruit freezes differently depending on how you've pureed it, but you put them in for a few hours until it's nice and solid, and then when you pop it out you have the option to freeze little baggies with cubes of baby food. So that's something you can just thaw out real nicely. If you're going for the day, you can put that in a little jar or in a little plastic container and take it with you. So I use 2 kinds of containers for my baby food. I saved little glass jars from the original baby food. I did buy beech nut baby food first off to let my son try it because I wasn't about to make a whole batch of something and then find out he didn't like it. So I let him try the beech nut. I really like theirs. Theirs is pretty much what I'm doing. It's just a puree, single or double, food puree. So I cleaned and sterilized these jars. So I'll use these jars if we're at home. If we're on the go and I don't want to carry glass in my diaper bag, I'll use these Oxo-Tot freezer squares. So I'll put this in the description too. These nice little freezer cubes. They're durable, rewashable, BPA free, so I can use that if I'm on the go. And again, the beauty of having the little cubes is I can throw a cube in, and depending on where I'm going and how long I'm going and what the temperature is, it'll most likely defrost while it's in my bag. That way when I pull it out, I have a durable, easy to use container to feed my son from. So that's pretty much my process. The biggest difference is if I'm using a root vegetable or a hard fruit or vegetable that needs to be steamed first, I'll steam it and then put it in the blender. But what I'll do, instead of adding outside water, which is always either filtered or purified when I do mine, unless you live somewhere with a really great water source, I will use the water from the steaming and just pour that in. That way I'm just reusing the nutrients that are already in there. So I'll pour that in and then do the same process with the blender, smoothing it out, putting it in the ice cube trays, and then freezing it. So I hope that this is really helpful to you. I love doing it. It's very easy. I had this whole concept in my head of how hard it was going to be to make baby food, but it has not been that hard at all. And my son loves it, and that makes me happy. That keeps him healthy, and it really does help save us a lot of money, because when you're at the store buying little jars like this for $1.50 a pop, it adds up. If you're the kind of parent that enjoys feeding your children every day, you can know how much it adds up. So we just like to do little things to keep our family healthy, to save money, and you'll add your own style and your own flair to it when you're making recipes for your babies. So thanks a lot, Moxie Mommies. I appreciate you checking us out. Make sure to subscribe. I have videos like this, just little helpful, fun mom tips around the house. And please do feel free to share your recipes. I'm really interested in what you make for your family. So in the description, please share recipes with each other. Let us know what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. If you start to find that this vegetable or fruit blends well with this other, please let us know. So I'd be excited to see your contributions. All right, mommies, take care of yourself, take care of your families, stay awesome.